My soul blings like the Big Dipper in the constellation. Patience is a virtue, so I guess I like waiting. If I was to die, somebody bury me with my pen. And if there's no more paper, I'll write on my skin. I'm a dream chaser, like success is at the end. And I've been told that my lyrics motivate family and friends, letting my rhymes inspire creativity. Coming with the positive energy, I guess they fearing me. Straight on the right path, no opposition steering me. Verizon Wireless kind of flow.
So
Yes, they can hear
I
me.
started this clothing line called The Good Life. And there's a whole story behind that. I won't get into that now. But we were performing at different concerts. I had a booth selling different t-shirts, and we were selling out every time we had a booth. And I was at a Kid Capri show where I met a man who happened to be the director of a teen center that's half a block away. They used to be half a block away. And so he told me they had some hip hop programming going on and I should come check it out. So I remember when I walked into the teen center, I felt like a scene out of a movie. There was graffiti on the wall, there was music playing, there was kids who were breakdancing and battling each other. There was other kids who were sketching in their sketchbooks, their black books. I heard music coming from a different room, and there was a bunch of teens who were there, you know, who were freestyling. And so I was into freestyling at the time, so, you know, I got in there and kicked a little freestyle, and it was fun. And I started having a little conversation with them, and I said, well, are you guys, you know, using any original beats? Are you guys recording? And they're like, nah, man, we just have these industry beats. And I started talking to the breakers. I was like, well, man, I see you guys kind of falling. Who's teaching you? And they said, man, we have no one to really teach us. And so I thought, well, I have all the best artists in the city that I'm sponsoring. I'm going to start inviting these guys to come down to the teen center. And so what started out as workshops evolved into concerts, festivals, and eventually full-blown hip-hop theatrical productions. And this was having a reciprocally transformative impact in that youth who were coming to the teen center, who were gang affiliated, who were hustling, stopped gang banging, stopped hustling, and they started doing real positive stuff. These folks started opening up for international hip hop artists. They started speaking at conferences with Congress people. They started developing a real thirst for knowledge and education. And reciprocally, all the mentors were also being transformed. I realized how could somebody who was LD or stupid write a play? And I started to think, well, man, maybe I'm not stupid. Maybe I'm not learning deficient. Maybe I just learned differently. And so I started to use these strengths of communication and connection with the community in school. I remember I had a science class, and I had to memorize all these different vocabulary words. So I did a science rap. Started talking about the ecosystem and the stratosphere and the ionosphere, and I used all the words in the proper context, and it helped me memorize the definition of the words, and I passed the quiz. I remember I had to read Shakespeare, and I was like, why? They always talk about this guy shaking a spear. I don't know, you get it. And so I started getting into the text, and it was tough. I couldn't understand it, but I realized when I first listened to this rapper named Twista, I couldn't understand him either. And after a while, you get used to the cadence and the rhythm, and then you crack the code and you can understand what Twista is talking about. So I said, well, let me give Shakespeare a little try. So I started getting into it, and pretty soon I could understand the cadence and the rhythm, and I could understand everything he was talking about. I had cracked the code. So I wrote a paper connecting the Tempest to what was happening in the community, and I got an A++. The professor said this is the best paper that was written in the class. But SoulBling is about you understanding that you're intelligent, that you're smart at something. It's not, are you smart? The question we need to ask is, how are you smart? And once you start to realize that your intelligence is part of what you're passionate about, that spark of passion is something that can be fanned into a flame, you can put yourself in an environment, you can feed yourself fuel where that spark can turn into a bonfire, can turn into a beacon of light that can light up a whole community, a whole city, a whole nation. SoulBling is about putting your passion first in everything that you do. It's about finding creative ways of putting your intelligence and your passion into how you study, into how you write research papers. into the service projects that you do in the community, the folks that you connect with in the community, and not just doing stuff that's superficial, but really taking a risk with your passion and saying, okay, if we're going to go for it, let's not just address a surface problem, let's address a root issue. Let's illuminate and let's create a solution that could actually not just revolve, but dissolve this issue altogether. It's about us coming together as a community and realizing that we're not thermometers, that we're not here just to tell you and reflect what is. We're thermostats, that we have the ability to transform the culture and the climate of our classrooms, our schools, our community, and even the world. That's what it means to soul bling.
My soul bling like down with Soul Train. My pendant hangs like strange things, poetry round the neck. The portal to make my soul sing immortal, enslaved around human beings, abnormal. Pain on neck like S's on Superman's chest. You can bet that my neck's influenced by God's blessing. The stress that's expressed is positive emotion. Never settle for less. I devour like a quotient. I checkmate my life like nights checking.